Before the words even have an effect, the room falls silent. You can feel the tension in the air as Funky leans forward and pauses. This isn't the vitality of rumors. This is personal. He tightens his voice. His voice becomes more acerbic. Then he calls Tamar a liar, making it clear he's done holding back without being cautious or courteous. Funky yells that Tamar is lying about what actually happened. Everything changes at that moment, because there is more to this than simply negativity. This commentary isn't unclear. Funky is clearly frustrated as she publicly rejects the version of events that Tamar has presented to the world. Social media goes viral in a matter of minutes. Recordings begin to circulate. Comments blow up. After spending weeks silently in the background, viewers rewind, rewatch, and begin making connections. On the internet, people quickly focus on a single question. Why right now? Why does Funky sound so angry, so particular, so irritated? Furthermore, more crucially, what does this imply about the rumors that have already been circulating around Tamar Mendeecees, and what is said to have happened that evening? Funky doesn't merely refute Tamar's account as he goes along. He breaks down the tone of it, the story of celebration, the perplexity, and the idea that she is unaware of what transpired. Viewers claim that's when the tone darkens. Jazzy isn't talking like someone is conjecturing. He speaks as though he was present and feels pulled into a media frenzy that he says he didn't ask for. According to Funky, Monday went upstairs with his friend. You do just enough so that you can put your hands down and be like, upstairs with Tamar, that one statement sends the internet when someone calls you on it. Do you know what actually happened to you when you first started? No, I'm not. Or are you able to discuss it? I can discuss it, but I'll go into overdrive. Reactions fill timelines. Some viewers claim that this clarifies everything. Some claim that it opens an unclosable door. That bothers me. That bothers me a lot. You were a bold-faced, bald-headed goddamn liar. And I'm telling you this to your face. All right, that evening, older rumors suddenly come up again. Included rumors regarding Mendeecees' name being connected to reports, fallout, and even arrest rumors. By the time Funky acknowledges that he knows he would be portrayed as untidy for speaking up, it is impossible to deny the coincidence, even though nothing has been confirmed or proven. The harm has already been done. According to Funky, he may be perceived as messy. He'll accept it because silence becomes louder than noise once those words are posted online. Tamar doesn't say anything. Fans are left wondering the question no one wants to answer aloud when Mendeecees remains silent. Did Funky just reveal the pressure that exists behind the scenes? Is this the reason why Mendeecees' career is being discussed as if it were on the verge of collapse? Not all of the fallout erupts immediately. It spreads subtly and slowly, just like stress does when people come to the realization that something cannot be undone. Following the spread of Funky's remarks, spectators stop paying attention to volume. They pay attention to body language, tone, intent, and sentence delays. This didn't feel like someone pursuing attention, according to comments that flooded social media. It seemed like someone reacting to coercion. Funky's assurance that he never desired any of this publicity is what fans notice right away. He presents the incident as something that happened between friends and that he would have rather kept confidential. However, in his own words, the issue is the story he thinks Tamar decided to spread. When he confronts her directly and explains that he didn't appreciate the way she presented herself as confused, ignorant, or wronged without clarity, viewers start to relive the scene. In response to Tamar, Funky claims she is unaware of what actually transpired. Online, that moment becomes a focal point. In the comment sections, fans contend that just one interaction alters the interpretation of the whole situation. Some claim that Jazzy seems to be criticizing selective narrative. Some claim that he seems genuinely hurt rather than acting. Most people agree that this isn't lighthearted criticism. It's a gradual accumulation of frustration. Groovy takes one step further and guides viewers through the night in question, using specifics like times, places, and choices rather than feelings. At this point, observers say, the atmosphere becomes investigative. He talks about how his intentions altered. where he went, and how he kept saying he wanted to go home. This causes a huge reaction on the internet because details make stories stand the test of time, even when they are contested. Funky clarifies being asked to leave his car and go somewhere else until the video goes viral. Fans start reinterpreting earlier rumors that were written off as ambiguous or overblown. Nothing has been verified. Although nothing is verified, the specificity encourages conjecture. Commenters begin to wonder why. In the absence of tension, someone would create this degree of detail. The story picks up speed when Funky starts speaking to Mendeecees directly, albeit first without using his name. He talks about situations that caused him discomfort. There were times, in his opinion, when boundaries were blatantly broken. At least in the court of public opinion, viewers claim that this is the point at which the issue shifts from hearsay to accountability. Funky claims that Mendeecees and Tamar's actions made him uneasy. This unease turns into a major theme in responses on the internet. Sitting on top of him are your booty shorts. Every time we got together, he would meet us at restaurants. I felt really uneasy. Activities, supporters analyze whether Funky is presenting himself as a collateral participant, a witness, or someone trying to get out of a situation that got out of hand. Some remarks suggest that he's attempting to rectify the record, because once she and Mendeecees had finished kissing in the back of that fucking automobile, they wanted to be up there alone, I assumed. I didn't go upstairs when we were dropped off at Tamar's place because of this. You were sitting on his lap in that goddamn Uber and your ass. So I got in my stupid car and drove home. Was sharing a kiss, right? And before it solidifies in a way that hurts him, it made me quite uncomfortable. Others argue he has answered. And your teeth, what happened to them? Because they walked upstairs with you. It's Mendeecees and his best friend. Because the strain has become unbearable. Another layer subtly emerges around the discourse as these interpretations proliferate. The audience's response, not Funky's words. Viewers start relating his comments to persistent reports around Mendeecees. Alongside videos of Funky's remarks, speculation that had previously been on the periphery starts to gain popularity. Terms such as career comments about harm, legal pressure, and arrest rumors seem as worries rather than facts. The crucial distinction is still evident. Mendeecees was not arrested according to Funky, although he makes no claims about medical proof. The audience's response indicates that his remarks are being seen as a catalyst, which has intensified online discussion. The suspense builds as Funky explains why he didn't accompany Tamar upstairs that evening. Not because of what he alleges, but rather because of how convinced he sounds about his choice. This moment becomes one of the most frequently repeated parts on several platforms. Funky explains why he didn't go upstairs and claims to have gone on Mendeecees. This video elicits conflicting emotions. Funky's supporters claim that he is outlining his limits and separating himself from whatever came next. Even detractors recognize the impact. But skeptics question timing and motivation. The quiet between Tamar and Mendeecees intensifies once the video becomes viral. Viewers notice that Tamar doesn't answer in public. Mendeecees doesn't say anything in response to remarks that suggest quiet encourages speculation rather than resolve. Supporters start interpreting quiet as a tactic, fear, or legal counsel. Once more, nothing has been confirmed. Perception is growing at the speed of the internet. Funky seems aware of how this appears. He freely admits that he will be labeled as untidy, dramatic, and attention-seeking if he speaks up. Embraces it rather than rejecting it. According to Funky, he embraces the perception that he is messy. Online, the admission strikes a powerful chord. It is perceived by some viewers as self-awareness. For others, it's a preventative measure. In any case, it changes the dynamic since the turmoil isn't being denied. He is presenting himself as someone who is prepared to take criticism in order to uphold his version of events. Timelines are filled with side-by-side clips. Old records, fresh pronouncements, and stopped frames as the internet reacts. Users compare tones, slow down situations, and examine face expressions. What Tamar meant when she said she didn't know what happened and why. Funky maintains the answer doesn't add up, are topics of conjecture. During the storm, Mendeecees name patterns for reasons he hasn't explained. His silence is seen by onlookers as deliberate. Lawyers, according to some, would urge moderation. Some claim it's shock. Once more, there is no guaranteed just interpretation on top of interpretation. A single statement does not give rise to the idea that a career may be at jeopardy. It develops as a result of accumulation, public opinion, association, and unresolved issues. Supporters claim that being associated with an unresolved disagreement can be harmful on its own, in a time where narrative moves more quickly than facts. Bringing personal discomfort into the public eye. And after that, the narrative shifted from what transpired that evening to turning into a story about who is in charge. The conversation doesn't stop now. It changes. Once Funky's remarks become clear, spectators cease debating whether he ought to have spoken up and begun to wonder why the situation had been permitted to get to this point. People are saying the same thing in different ways in the comment sections. This didn't blow up. Throughout the night, it simmered. The way Funky presents time is what captivates viewers. He emphasizes time and time again that this was not a one-time encounter or a random evening that was misinterpreted. His tone suggests that he's describing a pattern: frequent hangouts, frequent pain, and recurring situations in which he claims that lines were crossed in front of him without considering his feelings. At this point, the public narrative changes from one of surprise to one of scrutiny. Fans, I now grant everyone access to paint me as the untidy person I will be. I'll start asking why some acts were accepted until they weren't. Why circumstances that caused discomfort were permitted to continue. And why did the narrative appear as a fragmented rather than a distinct dot when it finally made it to the internet? Commenters claim that Funky's assertion that Tamar understood the workings of online narratives is among the most unsettling elements for viewers. He says she knows how to make assumptions without checking, how to pique curiosity without taking responsibility. This idea appeals to viewers because it reframes the chaos as strategic, at least in their minds, rather than unintentional. Tamar, according to Funky, does just enough to stir things up before retreating. That brief moment becomes into one of the most frequently cited phrases in online debates. People watch it again, annotate it, and use it as a prism to reframe everything that came after. Some fans argue that this explains the rapid escalation of rumors. Some argue that talking about trauma doesn't always make sense. The harm to trust is clearly evident as the discussion heats up, since as this line spreads, people start piecing together the time frame, using only remarks and public appearances. There's no introduction of anything new. No new accusations, but the situation changes. Instead of viewing the night as a mystery, viewers begin to perceive it as a moment with too many witnesses, too many moving pieces, and too many unresolved questions to be contained. The audience's response to Funky's tale of returning home alone is the most striking. Many saw this as deliberate disengagement, a refusal to be there for whatever happened. Commenters then contend that this choice is significant since it shifts accountability. At that point, Mendeecees' name becomes inevitable in the conversation without specifically attributing blame. Funky's account puts him in the heart of what transpired, not because of fresh allegations. Once more, no offenses are mentioned, no results are confirmed. Yet proximity on its own becomes sufficient to spark conjecture in an online setting where inference is the norm. Viewers see how cautiously Funky refrains from drawing conclusions. Rather, he highlights who went upstairs and who didn't, who was there and who wasn't. Paradoxically, this restriction encourages more conjecture than clarity. Any accusation might. According to Funky, Mendeecees and his friend went upstairs. That video goes viral, but not because it demonstrates anything, but because it restricts the range of inquiries. Narrowing is crucial when using the internet. Audiences know where to look once they get a sense. The remainder is filled in by imagination. Threads multiply. Theories soar. Perceptions become more rigid. The lack of counter-narratives exacerbates the pressure. Tamar doesn't directly address the version by Funky. Mendeecees doesn't say anything. Supporters argue over whether silence is a sign of avoidance or protection. Speaking, according to some, would only make things worse. Others maintain that silence permits conjecture to solidify into presumptive reality. Here's where the notion of a career in jeopardy becomes more prevalent in public discourse as a fear rather than a judgment. Regardless of the facts, some contend that being associated with an unresolved debate carries risk. Audiences change, collaborators resist, and advertisers hesitate. Uncertainty itself can be harmful in the entertainment industry. People start pointing to historical instances of public personalities whose careers stalled. Narratives were never corrected, not because they were shown to be incorrect. Anxiety is dispersed throughout fan communities by this comparison. All of a sudden, the topic of discussion is long-term rather than just one night. Consequences. Another emphasis area is Funky's emotional state. When his voice tightens or cracks, viewers notice it and perceive it as a sign of real pain rather than anger that is performed. Many remark that he sounds deceived, not only by Tamar but also by being pulled into a maelstrom that he says he never requested. This framing has a powerful effect on viewers whose secondary injury is frequently disregarded. The notion that those who are close to controversy can have their reputations damaged without having. Agency is a topic of discussion in and of itself. In this story, Funky turns into a casualty as well as a witness, becomes more audible. Instead of viewing Funky's remarks as a revelation, the internet starts to view them as a turning point. His remarks, according to commenters, did not spark rumors. They validate the idea that something significant enough to there may be a hide. The influence of that belief takes precedence over its veracity. As fans return, the tension builds. Funky's acceptance of being called untidy. Instead of seeing this as disobedience, many see it as resignation, a decision to share his version even at the expense of his social standing. Some people praise him for that choice, while others condemn him. However, it guarantees that the discussion won't end in silence. In the interim, conversations, rumors about H5 are getting more intense. Viewers are cautious to note that Jazzy never verifies any reports. But the association endures. Commentators contend that it is nearly impossible to limit health speculation once it enters public discourse. The morality of spreading such stories becomes a contentious issue, drastically dividing supporters. Some contend that the way uncertainty allows rumors to flourish rather than the rumors themselves is the true problem. Others think that people who spread unsubstantiated claims are to blame. The discussion becomes philosophical as it touches on issues like responsibility, privacy, and the price of celebrity. During all of this, Mendeecees stays a silent presence. Every discussion thread feels his absence. Silence, according to some admirers, is strategically motivated by management or legal counsel. Others interpret it as a symptom of paralysis or trauma. Tension only arises when there is no agreement. By now, the narrative has transcended persons. It turns into a system. How stories are told, how silence is understood, and how fact can be obscured by implication. Viewers complain that there was once conjecture gains speed. The public's view of the truth becomes nearly irrelevant, and ambiguity bears the emotional burden of this stage. I have no idea who will talk next or if there will be any explanation. Audiences stay captivated because unresolved tension is addicting rather than because they anticipate answers, even while they are unaware of the extent of the damage already done. And as the narrative progresses, viewers may see reality clearly. Reputations are already changing, even in the absence of verification, accusations, or comments. What transpired that evening is no longer the question. As the hours stretch into days, the question is whether anyone can stop the story from determining the result. The discussion assumes a new significance. Instead of shock or unadulterated emotion, it is now driven by the gradual awareness that an irrevocable event might already be taking place. Even if nothing new is revealed, viewers start to realize that the plot is still developing softly and discreetly in ways that don't need confirmation to make an impression. Consequences that don't make headlines start to be highlighted in online conversations. People talk about meetings being covertly rescheduled, calls not being returned, and how uncertainty and entertainment alone may be sufficient to change someone's treatment in private. Commenters argue that scandals don't necessarily harm careers. Unresolved issues that cause discomfort to decision makers might occasionally harm them. The story around Mendez becomes more focused at this point, nor as a villain, nor as a proven offender, but as someone suddenly in danger. Supporters don't, let's say he did this. They claim that he might be harmed by this. They make assumptions about networks, sponsors, partners, and the potential for perception to change due to affiliation with ongoing controversies. Although the phrasing is cautious, the concern is clear. Simultaneously, viewers return their focus to Funky's words with increased vigor, to reevaluate intent rather than to derive new meaning.